After the 3-1 victory over Valencia and Real Madrid right around the corner, I want to try to keep this one a little bit shorter than those for this match review because with a 1-0 win over Dynamo Kiev in a must-win match, there isn't much to talk about outside the fact that Barcelona got the 3 points that they needed in the Champions League. Because I will do my 5 headlines from this particular match, but the big picture is that when it came to Valencia and Real Madrid bookending this Champions League matchup, it didn't matter who this opponent was. If Barcelona did not get the 3 points in this game, it would have been the Europa League, it would have been me losing listeners, it would have been you wanting to tune out, it would have been a lot more frustration than we even saw after this 1-0 win at the Camp Nou. So it wasn't perfect, sure, but let's go over the 5 headlines from Barcelona's 1-0 win over Dynamo Kiev. We start with headline 1, and that is Jordi Alba was my man of the match. He was 5 for 10 on his crossing on the evening, he was 3 for 4 on his long balls, and most importantly, he created 2 big chances, one of which was the assist to Gerard Pique for the game's only goal. If not for the movement of Jordi Alba on the left wing in that first half prior to Ansu Fati even coming on the field, which you could say was a large part of Alba doing well against Valencia, he individually was always in the right spots on that left wing to draw out that Dynamo Kiev low block, and I guess it was a medium block, whatever you want to call it. He was what dictated Barcelona playing in that 3-5-2 on the evening, even more so than Serginho Dest up on the right wing for the first half. And if not for him, we never would have even mentioned Luuk de Jong's game. I know people are frustrated and going to put in the comments below what's the point of Luuk de Jong? I completely understand. It's basically waiting for Ansu Fati, Aguero, Dembele, you name another forward until they get healthy, then Luuk de Jong will find himself back on the bench. But I understand why rotation meant that Luuk got the start in this game. And if not for Alba, Luuk de Jong would not have touched the ball maybe once or twice throughout the entire first half when he was on the field, and I totally understand why Coman took him off at halftime. That said, again, Jordi Alba, my man of the match because he dictated the way that Barcelona were playing, and he has made Barcelona better since he returned from injury after this international break against Valencia. Headline 2, bounce back Lenglet. Honestly, this is the point where I want to talk about Pique before I even get to Lenglet, because Pique was probably the actual man of the match, if not for Jordi Alba. I was impressed, as I said, with what Alba did in terms of that formation, but as far as putting on the best performance of the night, that goes to Gerard Pique, especially the fact that he scored the goal. But other than the goal, Pique was the leader at the back. He was 7 for 9 on long balls, 6 for 7 on his aerial duels, and was the leader that Barcelona needs him to be at the back. The fun fact is that he was the first player for Barcelona to score a La Liga goal in the post-Messi era, and he also becomes the first Barcelona player to score a goal in the post-Messi era in the Champions League. He does both, and that kind of leadership is what I want to see from Gerard Pique, but also commanding his back line. Helping him along that back line, though, was Lenglet, who, unlike Pique, who we thought we'd get a performance, if you're going to rate it 1 to 10, was going to be between a 4 and an 8, and I thought Pique was actually an 8 or a 9 in this game. Lenglet, you were worried. You're like, oh, you're going to get at least a 4 or 5 out of him, but because Lenglet put in a 6, 7, or 8 performance, and that meant that Barcelona was never in danger of conceding even the opening goal. That Barcelona was always closer to their second goal than Dynamo Kiev were to their first. Lenglet and Pique, that partnership, a big reason why. Lenglet was 5 for 6 on his duels, made the right decisions, and I was really happy with his distribution, which is the one area more than any other that I worry about with the Frenchman. And then those individual mistakes he would make as well that would lead to penalties. He was very clean in this game. And this kind of bounce back performance, if you will, from your fourth center back on the depth chart, and actually the first on the depth chart, left-footed, natural left-footed center back, where Araujo and Eric Garcia are playing out of position, it may be a little bit calmer. Maybe not against Real Madrid, but it made me a little bit calmer that Araujo was out for a few more weeks, and maybe Barcelona between Pique, the Eric Garcia we saw against Valencia, and this Lenglet that we saw against Dynamo Kiev are going to have just enough to get through Araujo's injury until he can return to the field. Headline 3, what's the point of Coutinho? Now here's where we get a little bit negative. As I said, Alba was my man of the match for that first half, not only the assist, but the fact that Barcelona were using the width of the field. Ansu, with his gravitational pull, I talked about a lot on the podcast. I'll probably talk about it throughout the remainder of this year and all his years at Barcelona. But Barcelona need to use their width. And whether it's Alba, whether it's Ansu Fati, or Dest, and then that attempt for Roberto, which we'll get to in a second, it was a worrisome sign in the second half that the minute Coutinho stepped on that field, even though Ansu was coming on with him, that left side became so clogged and the ball stopped moving over to the right. And that's what leads me to ask, what's the point of Coutinho? When you have a midfield of Busquets, of De Jong, of Gavi, when Pedri can return from injury, it makes sense the things that those players are supposed to do. They're supposed to fortify the center of the field and use their far superior passing, their quickness of passes, and the right decisions to move the ball slowly up through the lines and break down an opponent. Coutinho doesn't really do that. He doesn't have any through balls. He doesn't really get in the proper spots to take shots, and even that long shot he likes to, opponents are so well accustomed to it that they slide over with almost no difficulty. Dynamo Kiev, with the exception of one time when Coutinho went 1v1 against the right back and got in behind him, winning a corner kick for Barcelona, that was the only time I can think of that Coutinho kind of made sense on the field. Other than that, I think he's just kind of redundant and getting in players' way who make more sense in the system they're playing. And that's what I want to see from Koeman and Barcelona in general, regardless of who's managing. The system and the formation, yes, it's dictated by your best players, but you're supposed to be able to take the rest of your squad, meaning 3 through 25, and plug and play. And Coutinho throws a monkey wrench in that. He does not have the skill set to ever fit this Barcelona system. And what I mean by that is whatever formation and system benefits the most number of players. Dest is another question mark. How do you get the best out of him? Sure, on that right wing. But again, Coutinho just completely redundant on that left side. When you have Alba, when you have Ansu, and even in that position, whether it was Gabi or it was De Jong, you want more space for those players just to combine with each other and move the ball forward. Coutinho doesn't do that. And that leads me to headline number 4, which I'm going to be a bit critical of Koeman here because I thought he was just managing for the points, that being the 3 points that a 1-0 win would get you. I had said that it's a huge success for him, and it is. It's a huge success for him if he can get 7 points from these 3 matches. And so far, he's got 6 of them. So really just a draw from Real Madrid, and I would consider these 3 matches a huge, huge success for the Dutch manager. That said, I had already mentioned Coutinho, but I understand, I guess, against Dynamo Kiev, why you need to rotate, why you need to have Coutinho on the field. However, Sergi Roberto coming in as the right winger is fine, but why didn't he play right back and Dest stay on the right wing? It didn't make any sense to me to have Sergi Roberto in front of Dest on the field, making Dest defend in a position where Roberto probably would have made more sense. And those are decisions that get me puzzling and get me thinking about what would another manager in that circumstance do, of course. Koeman has managed his team, as a player manager, enough to get those points. And I think he really is, like he did last year when Barcelona got hot from January to about the beginning of March with that 3-5-2. Seems like this unit, again, is comfortable in a 3-5-2. And if he can get the best out of his best players in De Jong, in Ansu, and hopefully Pedri when he returns, and Memphis, Barcelona can go far enough this season to reach the expectations that Koeman has set upon himself. And even him, he's going lower than his expectations should be. We should be a little bit higher. And yes, I think this team should have played better. And as I said, with Coutinho, with Roberto, some of the decisions he made when Barcelona were playing well in the first half kind of were negated in the second half. And finally, headline 5 is no rest for the weary. That's my other problem with some of these rotations. I know people call for Riqui Puig. Riqui Puig is not going to get many minutes when Sergio Busquets is on the field. As much as those two come from La Masia and you think they complement each other and play with each other well, their rest defense, or the fact that with Puig playing the positions he does and being as poor as he is with his defensive positioning, when the ball turns over, Puig not being able to support Busquets as a midfield partner, as a midfield runner, exposes Busquets. And Riqui Puig does deserve minutes, but that means that Busquets needs to be better rotated. Busquets playing 90 minutes against Valencia and then Dynamo Kiev, and you'd assume against Real Madrid, is a bad sign for the spring. So no rest for the weary means that Ronald Koeman is not trusting not only the players he's putting on, because I think he does trust everybody a little bit in the squad, except for Riqui Puig, but he's not trusting his team when Busquets comes off the field. I think he's too afraid of Barcelona becoming defensively frail without Busquets. And I think this 3-5-2 with De Jong staying so close to him really supports the Spanish Busquets, or the one we see for the Spanish national team. But by not taking him off the field in 3 straight matches, it does worry me about what the short-term and the long-term future holds for this squad that may not be properly being rotated. I throw De Jong in the mix there too, because again, both of them played 90 minutes against Dynamo Kiev in what I must say is a must-win game where you had to win all 3 points in the Champions League, even more so than Real Madrid. But as we all know as Culés, before Real Madrid and after Real Madrid, it's going to feel like that game is what our entire season hinges upon. It doesn't, but it's going to feel like that. And if you want to make sure you don't miss any of that content leading up to and post Real Madrid, make sure you give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and keep checking back here for new videos and other content, especially the Barcelona podcast. And as always, until next time, Forza Barça.